Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Miss Camay Show. I am your host, Miss Camay, and I am so emotional about my interview today with the beautiful Shayla Montgomery. Welcome to the show, Shayla.
Hi. Thank you
Well,
for having me.
of course, of course. I love the power of technology. I'm out here in Las Vegas. You're out in Oregon, and we're like sitting in the living room chatting, like old girlfriends. It's so wonderful to see you and highlight you today. We have such great pageant sparkly rhinestone things to talk about.
Yes.
Shayla just recently competed and won the title of Miss Oregon Teen USA. Did I say it correctly?
Good.
Yes, wonderful. Congratulations, young lady. Such an honor. Such an honor for you to be representing the state of Oregon. We're going to get into the details of your pageant system and what the title specifically means. But for our audience that's watching, I would like to share how Shayla and I met. I was a judge for National American Miss for the Washington Oregon State pageant. And for NAM, we have what are called like roundabout interviews. So we have judges that sit at separate tables in the interview room, and each young lady kind of revolves around the room to each judge and is interviewed. And I didn't notice Shayla until she sat down in front of me, and she had her, her bio sheet that I was reading. Very poised, very professional, just such a classy young lady, just gorgeous, just beautifully gorgeous. And I was reading through your judge's sheet, and I saw some information about bullying, which is a huge platform for me as a grown adult woman. And at the time, Shayla didn't realize this, but I was instantly emotional. I was looking at Shayla, and I just could not believe that someone was bullying her. And so it's like I asked her one question, and then just out came the trumpets, the horns, the orchestra, just an amazing voice and sound and testimony that came out of you. And I was really struggling not to cry in front of you at the judges table. I was so moved by your presence, so moved by your story, just so compelled to sit down and talk to you. And here we are, however many years later, I think 3 years later, 2-3 years later, you're off and running, you're winning amazing titles, you're doing amazing things in your community, you're representing women of color as a young woman. And I'm so grateful that you're giving me the opportunity today. I want to talk all things about you. So let's start with Miss Oregon Teen USA. Let's start there. Talk to me about the title.
So I've dreamed of doing this since I was about 12 years old. I always knew when I started pageants that I wanted to compete in the USA system. And my parents were not going to let me do it until they switched to athletic wear. So when they switched, I automatically asked my parents right away. And then, of course, I signed up. I competed last year, and I made top 10 out of, I think, about 20-something girls. And then I came back this year, and I won the Miss Oregon Teen USA title.
Congratulations. So what is it like competing and, placing, like you said, you place in the top 10, but realistically not winning the crown, and, coming back, full circle and preparing yourself to compete for the title again?
One thing I really had to keep in mind is that it's a challenge. The USA system is probably the biggest pageant system in the United States. And so I knew that if I wanted to win or make that top 5, I needed to work extremely hard. So after I made top 10, I came home, I worked out, of course, got my physique ready for athletic wear. And one thing I really worked on this year is just getting to know myself. I think the biggest advice I could give for any girl competing in the USA system is know yourself like the back of your hand, and don't be afraid to show your flaws, your quirks to the judges, because they're not looking for someone who's perfect. They're looking for someone who has a personality, is relatable, and is someone who's fun to be around.
Which is totally you. So tell our audience about the USA system. Talk about that, because there's so many pageants out there, and I think people, it's kind of convoluted when it comes to, how relevant or how significant the system is. So talk to us about the USA pageant system.
Yeah. The USA pageant consists of a couple of different categories in it. So we compete in athletic wear for teens, and gown walk, and an interview, which is a panel style interview. So the judges sit in front of us. And then we also, if you make the top 5, have an onstage question that can be about teenagers, maybe sometimes a little bit political, just depends. And then for Miss, they compete in gown walk, swimsuit, have the panel interview, and same as teens, if they make top 5, they'll have an onstage question. And the great thing about the USA system is I will be going to Miss Teen USA, and my amazing Miss Sister Queen, Katarina, will be going to Miss USA. And if she wins the Miss USA title, she'll go to Miss Universe. So this system is the best of the best. And I'm so blessed that I finally have a title within them, because when you're a USA title holder, they truly take such good care of you and really just carry you on their back and make sure that you're doing a great job during your reign.
That's so wonderful to hear. So wonderful to hear. So you mentioned athletic wear, that, they finally changed it. So what was it before, and what were the concerns?
So before it was swimsuit, and my family was new to pageants when I brought up the idea of doing USA. So as a 13-year-old girl, my parents were not really down for that idea quite yet. I know that now that I'm a little bit older, they'd be more open to the idea. But when I was younger and I was thinking about doing the system, it was not on the table. So last year when they changed it to athletic wear, my parents were definitely on board, because instead of just showing teenagers physique, it's instead looking at teenagers and how they work out, how they stay healthy. And instead of seeing how tiny you are, it's seeing how fit you are, which is what I personally love, because when I've grown up over the years, I've always had a very curvy and athletic build. And I've always wanted to be judged on how athletic I am, not how technically skinny I am.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about body positivity and, our shape and our size, those things are honestly really irrelevant, because somebody could be very, very thin, but be very unhealthy.
Exactly.
and not exercise and not have, a healthy diet. And so to change the trajectory of, what we're really focusing on and what we're really teaching our young women, our young youth, is so important. So I have to agree with your parents.
However, I do love that the Miss have swimsuit, just because since they are older, I think it shows a level of determination and hard work. And so I know that once I get into the Miss category one day, once I'm out of school, I think it'll be something that I'll really enjoy. But I also really love athletic wear, being a teen as well.
Yeah, well, and you've done such a great job at it. You've been very active on social media, showing us your active, healthy lifestyle. And it's empowering, and it's so inspiring, especially to other young ladies, your age. I want to shift gears a little bit, because back when you competed at NAM, your platform, you talked about bullying. And so that continues to be your platform today. Hashtag Standout is, what your platform that you have founded. Your parents have been very supportive of it. Your fans and your followers have really supported you on that platform. So talk to us a little bit about that. Why so important to you, and how it's continuing with you today in your reign.
So when I was about 12 or 13 years old, I created hashtag Stand Up, which is a movement that really brought the idea of anti-bullying to the youth. And something that I did is I spoke to elementary, middle schools, and even did a high school seminar at a cheerleading group to talk about this issue and why it's so important to think about your words before you say them, or think about your actions before you do them. And through this platform, I reached over 5,000 children, teens, and adults, and I'm really proud to say that. And now that I'm a little bit older, something that I've really taken into consideration is when people are bullying other people, or when people are getting bullied, the number one thing that is deteriorating in their self is self-love. And so from that, I created Teen Speak Life, which is a way to cultivate self-love among teenagers, and something that I've done online before I won this title. However, I'm really excited that I won this title, because with this, I'm going to be making seminars across Oregon, and I'd like to have at least 10 during my reign. And both of these are so important to me because when I was younger, I was severely bullied for a very long time in pre-K, elementary school, and even the heaviest was in middle school. And I don't know why these people were bullying me. I thought I was pretty cool as a kid, but it really took a toll on my young life. But now that I'm older, I'm proud to say that instead of using it as a negative, I can now look back at it in a positive way because now I can use what I went through to impact other people. So I feel like sometimes God puts things in our life that at the time we may not like, but in the future we'll see. I was meant to speak on this issue. I was meant to be an advocate for this issue. So now I look back at it as not necessarily a positive thing that happened to me, but something I can use in a positive way.
Yeah, you turned the experience around into a testimony. Yeah. So, from trauma to testimony, yeah. Which is so significant and such a powerful message that you share today, because so many young women, just women in general, but really our youth, experience bullying for one reason or another, or experience trauma, abuse, any kind of, it's kind of like, to generalize it, it's all abuse.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to, move the energy into a different area of their life, to turn it into a testimony and use their personal firsthand experience to speak to others and make a difference. Because I have found in my testimony about being bullied as a grown adult in the workplace, there are so many people who are experiencing it, who are going through it, and to talk to somebody or hear from somebody who says, this is me, this was my experience, this is what happened to me, and here I am today, standing here, as a tool, as a resource, as a support to you, to the rest of you who have gone through it.
Exactly.
So I commend you for doing it. Your courage, your resiliency in doing it is just remarkable. And I promised you I'm not going to get emotional in our interview today. But just so remarkable that you did not allow that experience to detour you from what God has honestly called you to do, which is to stand up and speak at this podium and really touch the lives of the world.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your areas of competition. That's always a question that I get as a title holder. What did you compete in? Was there an area that you felt more prepared for than another area?
So my favorite area competition at state would have to be gown. I was really excited for gown walk because I was in love with my dress.
Yes.
I feel very confident. And I think that when you have something that makes you feel so good, you can get really excited about it. And walking has always been something that I've thrived in. And so I've really put in a lot of work to make sure I worked that train, and that color on me looked beautiful as well.
Yes.
My second one that I loved was athletic wear, just because I love going to the gym. It's something that I've learned to love over the past couple years, and being able to showcase my work was a lot of fun. Plus, my personality is very energetic, so it's a way for me to have a little bit more fun on stage. Well, again, you have to walk slow, which me, I'm like an energizer bunny sometimes, so I love to go in athletic wear and have some fun.
So how was the athletic wear competition? Because I myself have never had that type of competition, or that division of competition. So what did you have to do for that?
So I like to think of it as like a NAM casual wear. NAM has a great competition where you go out and you model a style of clothing that you like. And so athletic wear is kind of the same idea. You come out in an athletic wear outfit of your choice. Can be a sports bra and pants, sports bra and shorts, or even a sports top and pants, whatever you feel the most confident in. And you go out and you model it. So when I came out, I did lots of cute poses and turns, and you just showcase your healthy lifestyle and your outfit.
So did you have any props? Did you use weights or no?
Nope. Everyone has to go in and just do poses at every single X. So our stage was shaped like a T. So we'd come out and we'd do a little pivot turn, and then we'd go towards the front and do a picture for the cameraman, then go off to the left and do another pose, then go on to the right and do another pose, and then we'd walk off.
Yeah, you got to get those pictures. Got to get those pictures. So let's talk about your parents a little bit. I love your parents. They're so active and so engaged in your pageant journey. Your father, has a coaching business, has a photography business. The two of you together are really impacting the lives of so many young ladies just around the nation, and it's so beautiful to watch and see. Your mom is, that mama bear, and
Yes.
she's very protective of you.
Yes.
I think my favorite picture that I've seen so far since you winning your Oregon title, I believe you were on stage and you were kneeling down, and your mom had come up to you and like she was hugging you or going to kiss you.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was your dad that took the picture or who took the picture, but just it was such a visual display of your mother's adoration and support and love for you, and just how proud she is of you. I don't have children of my own, but parents, we can be the best examples to our children or our nieces and our nephews, in my case, but ultimately the choice is up to you. The decision is up to you at the end of the day. And so what's it like having, parents, both your mother and your father, so supportive, so engaged, so involved, so passionate about your pageant journey?
It's such a blessing. My dad's actually the reason why I got into pageants. I got a letter in the mail and I looked at it and was like, throw this away. Like, I don't want this. And he was the one who kept the letter for, I think, about a couple months and was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And kept showing it to me every couple of weeks. And I finally was like, fine, like, I guess I'll do it. You keep bringing it up. Like, fine, I'll do it. And at the time, I was such a tomboy and I did not want anything to do with pageants necessarily. And so leading up to it, I didn't practice, I didn't do nothing. But of course, after my first pageant, I caught the bug, like every girl. And just having my family there for me is so great. I know that winning Miss Oregon Teen USA, there's so much that goes into it. This weekend, I'm flying out to California for Miss California Teen USA. The weekend after that, my family and I is going to Texas to design my national gown with Sherry Hill. And I know that if I didn't have this love and support from my parents, I could not be as successful as I've been. And even if I was successful and I won a title, I don't think I'd be able to hold myself as high as I do with this title that I have, because my mom is like my momager and my dad's one of my pageant coaches. And so just having their love and support has put me over the top in every single competition that I've done.
Yeah. I've actually witnessed it when I was at NAM. Like, I knew who your parents were once I knew who you were. Just such a huge support, and yes, such a blessing. So talk to us about, the young women in your circle, your very close friends or family members, that you participate in their life, and you're like a role model to them. Do you think about that? Is that a conscious thought in your mind when you're around these friends and family members? And if so, when something presents itself, an opportunity presents itself for you to actually be a mentor to them, how do you deal with that?
So being a title holder, and even before I was a title holder, there's lots of young girls that look up to me very greatly. And I've really been blessed enough to have such an adorable, inspiring, and impactful group of young ladies that really touch my life. Just to name a few, my niece Jada, number one, of course. She's my favorite little girl ever. And I've really instilled in her since she was born that she is capable of all things, that she's wonderful, that she's brilliant. And as she's grown up to be a 4-year-old, she's different from every single 4-year-old you could ever meet. She's the most fierce and confident little girl ever. And I hope that stays, and I pray that stays as she gets older. Also, like you said, my dad has a coaching business. So being around these girls is amazing. Some of the girls that have really touched me personally are Mackenzie Kaiken. She's a beautiful young lady. She competes in the NAM system, and she's just a blessing to be around. And also Bryn Wilson is also another girl that's really, really been close to me when I've coached her as well. So sometimes I lay in bed and I think, how did I get blessed to have such amazing young ladies around me? Because there's more than just those three. But
Sure.
it's just such a blessing that I have these girls, and I'm so thankful that I get to impact them, and I hope I can continue as they get older.
Yeah, it's needed. It is absolutely needed. We definitely need, young women, especially women of color, that are in high profile positions, that are very, very visible, that are showing and teaching, through mentorship and coaching, just how it can be done.
Yes.
So applause to you for doing that. It is not easy to do, being a competing delegate, and coaching and mentoring at the same time.
It's hard.
It's a very heavy schedule.
Yeah.
But this is your assignment. God called you to do this.
Yes.
This is what you are supposed to do. And you absolutely have no doubts in doing it, and you're brilliant in your pageant walk. Definitely using this platform to share your message. So for those young girls that are going to watch this interview, or that are tuning in today and watching, they have no idea about competing. They have no idea where to even start, where to begin. What would you say to them? What would you tell them? What are like the top 5, or the 5 most important first steps, once they've decided that they're going to compete in a pageant system and they've selected the pageant system? Where do they start? What are the first 5 things that they should do?
So number 1, pageants can be very intimidating and very stressful sometimes. And looking into it, you may think, I'm not ready to do a pageant because I don't look like I'm a pageant girl. Let me tell you, before I won this title, there were a numerous amount of people that told me, Shayla, you're too short to do the USA system. Shayla, you're too curvy to do the USA system. Shayla, they don't like curly hair. Shayla, they pick blonde hair, blue eyes. And if I would have listened to them, I would not be on this interview right now. And that's the craziest thing. So girls going into pageants, number 1 thing I want to tell them is, don't listen to other people. They may tell you it's not the right system, but you'll know it's not the right system if you compete in it and you keep going. If I would have believed that, I would have never competed in this title, and I'm so glad that I did. Number 2, I would really recommend hiring a pageant coach. It's the most amazing thing and really can help you step your game up. There's more than just my dad and I. There's tons and tons and tons of pageant coaches. No matter who you pick, I'm sure you'll get help in some kind of way.
Yes.
Also, I think it's really important to learn about yourself. The amount of girls that I see go into pageants that don't know their favorite color, don't know what they want to be when they grow up, or don't know who their role model is insane. And so before you do a pageant, I recommend getting a pageant notebook and writing down just facts about yourself, things that you discover about yourself, because you never know what kind of questions you're going to get. One time I got asked if I was a French fry, what sauce I'd want to be dipped in. And I knew the answer because I know about myself. So you never know what you're going to get. And my last one is just realize that doing pageants takes time and you're not always going to win. Last year I got top 10 in this system and it hurt a little bit. I didn't cry. I was very confident about it. I was very happy for the new title holder, but it was difficult. And so one thing I have to tell girls is you're not always going to win. There's no girl that wins every single time. And so have that perseverance and know that if it's meant for you, it will be for you, whether it's next year, the year before, or 10 years to come. If it's meant for you, it will come.
Yeah, great point. I hope for those of you that were watching the interview that you had your pen and paper out and that you wrote all of those things down, because they are very, very important. I want to elaborate a little bit on when you competed last year, you made top 10.
Yes.
Did you know when they did not call your name, did you know why? Did you know where you fell short, where your areas of opportunity were to come back and do it better this year?
So when I competed last year, I just came back from competing in the National American Miss system, and pageants, every single pageant has a different way they crown girls and a different style of girls that they like to crown. And so I came into the USA system a little bit more NAMI than I should have been instead of more USA. So I think I knew right after I got off the stage that maybe it was because I was still holding on to my previous pageant experience in the NAM system. And this year, that's something that I really worked on, was making sure I was being a USA girl, not an AM girl. Even though I still hold NAM near and dear to my heart, I needed to transition into the style of girls that they like for USA. And this didn't mean changing who I was. It just meant
Correct.
being able to represent the system in the way that they want you to be.
Correct.
Each
Very
pageant
good
has
point.
a different idea of what their title holder should look like. And so I had to mold Shayla into the same Shayla she's supposed to be, but just enhance her in a USA kind of way.
Yes, such a great point. Such a great point. Every pageant system is different. The directors are different. They have, I wouldn't say a certain kind of girl that they crown or a certain style of girl that they crown, but they definitely have a preference in their title holders.
Yes.
And being a judge, and as a judge, they are, you know, it's discussed amongst the judges. You know, this is the kind of woman that we're looking for. This, you know, we want these types of humanitarian, you know, experiences or appearances. We, you know, we want her to be this, you know, this kind of representative of our system, of their beliefs, their mission, their vision. So not that you had to change who you are, not at all. You know, that is definitely not what you're saying.
No.
But to understand what pageant you're competing in, you know, what their mission is, what their vision is, you know, how queens in the past, their reigns, you know, what they have done, how they have represented the pageant system, and really understand that. And, you know, we talk about things being equally yoked in life. And in the Bible, if it's not equally yoked, we're not going to move anywhere. We're going to go in opposite directions. So when you're searching for a pageant system to compete in, you want to research the pageant system. You want to talk to reigning title holders, past title holders, and really, you know, get in the kind of, you're test driving it at that point. You know, you're kind of getting in the driver's seat and you're taking it around the block and seeing how fast it can go and how, you know, how good the brakes are.
Yes, exactly.
And if it's not in alignment with, you know, with who you are as a person, you won't compete well, because you're not equally yoked. You're not in alignment. So very, very good point. Very good point. What would you say, from the day you decide you're going to compete, especially in a system, so, you know, so prestigious as the USA system? I don't know how many days did you have to prepare from, well, actually a whole year, because you competed last year. Okay. So you don't start competing 2 weeks or preparing 2 weeks before the pageant, or 3 weeks, or a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months.
No.
You know, we'll reference, you know, the Bible and the book of Esther, and how she prepared for an entire year, for a very long time, you know, to go before the king. So pageantry has a very strong biblical meaning to me. So how do you prepare? How long did you have to prepare? And what do you do every day? Like, obviously you're living your life, you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're spending time with your family and friends, but are you always still preparing for your pageant? Or do you take days off? Like, talk a little bit about that.
So all my dad's clients that know me, if you ask them, how would you describe Shayla? They would definitely say that I'm extremely hardworking. And that's something that I instill into them when I coach some of the girls, is if you want something, you need to work for it. Like, there's nothing else to do. So for me, when I compete for a pageant, I prepare about a year, maybe more in advance, because I think that you do the best when you feel the most relaxed. And so for me, I got my gown in February, my athletic wear, I think, around in March. My interview was getting designed all summer long, and I was doing interview sessions even a month after I just competed in the 1 year prior. And so I started that working towards next year immediately. And then the year before that, when I competed for the first time, I prepared for a year as well. And even though I didn't make that top 5, I was still practicing, and I still wanted it just as bad as I wanted this one. And so any girl competing in a pageant, I think it's so important that you prepare for at least a year in advance.
So is it fair to say, Shayla, that you have been preparing for Miss Argentine USA for years?
Yes, I would think so. I've been doing other pageants. I've been doing NAM since I was about 12, 11 years old. But like I was saying, I've always wanted to compete in the USA system, and it's always been something that I've strived to want to get. And I remember when I was the National American Miss Preteen for NAM that I actually attended the Miss Oregon pageant. And sitting in that audience, I told myself, you're going to do this one day. That's going to be you one day. You're going to compete. And that was my first time ever watching it. And I came home just so excited. And even though I didn't compete for many years to come, I still was eager and excited that my dream was going to happen one day. I didn't know when, but I knew that I had a gut feeling in my stomach that this is exactly what I was supposed to do.
So you had vision.
Yes.
You had vision for it.
Yes.
And look at you now, young lady. Look at you now. So excited for you. I have had the pleasure of watching you grow up these last few years. I feel like part of the family when I see you guys on social media, and I always message your mom. I know you're so proud of her. You are well on your way, young lady. There is nothing in life that you will not be able to survive. There is nothing that will cross your path that is going to stop you. It's going to be a lesson for you. It's going to be a testimony for you. You are going to use it to touch the lives of the people around you and around the world. There are people, Shayla, watching you. They don't reach out to you. They don't send you messages. They don't ask you for interviews, but they're watching you. And they're watching you because you are inspiring them and empowering them to find their vision and pursue their goals. And I commend you for that, being so young and just so dedicated and committed to what you're doing is really remarkable, really remarkable. Congratulations so much to you.
Thank you so much.
Talk to our audience. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Talk to our audience. How can they find, this pageant system? Where can they find it? Of course, they can, reach out to you and connect with you. But how can they connect with the system? Where could they maybe find, requirements and applications and, fees and costs to compete alongside you or be crowned by you next year?
Yeah. So for the Oregon pageant, I know specifically our website is www.missoregonusa.com. And I believe it's the same for Washington, Idaho, and Montana, the same lineup. However, if you're in states outside of that, I recommend just going on Google and typing in Miss Blank USA, and then I'm sure you'll find the website. And I think that how you can reach out to me is at Shayla Montgomery on Instagram. And then if you want to reach out to my pageant page, it's at Miss OR Teen USA. And then for Facebook, you can reach out to my title holder Facebook, which is Miss Oregon Teen USA.
So fabulous having you on the show today, Shayla. I thank you so much again for giving me this interview. I love the exclusive. I love to get it first. So I sincerely, sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very, very proud of you. Leave our audience with one final tip before we close the interview.
Don't stop working towards your dreams, because I know that if I would have quit doing pageants, or if I would have never even started doing pageants, or if I would have listened to the people that told me that this title was never going to happen for me, that I would not be where I am today. So my one tip for you is never stop going until you physically can't go anymore, until you age out, until you can't do it. Keep going until you get your dream, because it's possible.
Yes, it is very, very possible. All of that, so much more. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today with the lovely, beautiful, amazing, talented, fabulous, sparkly, glittery Shayla Montgomery, Miss Oregon Teen USA. I love you so much, sweetheart. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Bye.